All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Audit Committee meeting of the Orange County IDA and Funding Corporation. Today, we have a few items to go over, but in particular, we are going to be hearing a lot from Kevin Loki of Loki Brill. We have a few waiver reviews, some status updates, and then just as a primer, Amy's Kitchen came to us quite a while ago and was approved prior to the adoption of our labor policy. And when the laws changed in between their approval and when they were ultimately starting construction, we did attempt to have the conversation about them adhering to the labor policy, but after a lot of conversation back and forth, it was determined that it wouldn't be possible for us to have them comply with the policy that didn't exist at the time they applied and were approved. So that being said, they did complete new application information and whatnot, but with the exception of the labor policy. So we, at that point, determined that we would have the right at any point to spot check the site, but we don't have the same sort of clawback provisions that would result if there were in running afoul of that policy. So essentially what we did is we asked, and because it has been quite some time and because there have been questions about how much work has been completed so far, we engaged Loki to visit that site, which Kevin's going to give us a little report about that. And then periodically we'll do the same thing. Again, it's not going to be every month. It is at our expense because we didn't collect escrow fees for that, but we will check to make sure that at very least, one of the things that's really important, and Mike Gatos and I have talked about this quite a bit, is that one of the really important factors of our labor policy is the insurance aspect of it, to make sure that even if people aren't local, and hopefully everybody will be local, but even if people aren't local, that the New York State requirements are being met in terms of insurance, disability, those kinds of things. So we will come back to you the next time we go back to the site, but that's the Amy's Kitchen update we're going to be talking about. So Kevin, do you want to start with the 360 Middletown Holdings review?
Oh, okay. So you're referring to the recommended waiver for that project?
Correct.
So the job is using a company, or wants to use a company, I should say, called Titan Rack and Shelving. They're out of Jersey. The applicant, Dov Freund, has used this company before for his other facility in Brooklyn to do the racking and shelving installation. Thus, he wanted to use a company that he was familiar with. And then again, equipment he was familiar with, whatever. Again, we are talking about racking and shelving. Not necessarily complex or anything, but again, it's just familiarity with who we wanted to use. So I spoke to Steve Pasternak, I believe is his name, with Titan Rack and Shelving, and I wanted to see if we could utilize a local company to perform the install for this work. It wasn't an issue if they wanted to fabricate the racking and shelving that went in, but if we were able to find a local installer, obviously that's the intention of our program. I reached out to Mike. Mike Gatos was able to provide me with the John Montgomery, who was with the millwrights. I reached out to John and asked him if he could provide me the list of some companies that might be able to perform this work. And those were OTC and Adirondack. They reached out to both of those companies, and both of those companies said that they were unable to perform the work. Either they were unqualified, primarily they were unqualified, or they couldn't install that particular system. The second option, then we said, well, is there any way that we can incorporate the use of local employees to help assist in the installation? Both Titan Rack and Shelving, as well as the applicant, were on board with that. They've committed to using at least one worker from Eastgate Management Corp., which is already on site working and performing work there. We're talking about maybe one individual. So that's kind of where we stand on that. But I feel as though they've done their diligence there. They try to reach out to a couple local companies in the area. They were unable to perform the work. And so we think that waiver is valid. We do appreciate them trying to make an effort in trying to incorporate local installers with this. And again, they are using one guy from this company. They're already given me his address. He's a local guy in Middletown. So that's where we stand on that waiver.
So we would need an approval from the members present to approve that waiver.
Motion.
Second.
All in? All
Thank
in
you, yes.
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Perfect. So Kevin, you'll go ahead and let them know that they're officially approved, or that they can go ahead and work with that waiver.
Okay, and they have to wait until they can provide me proof of New York State disability insurance benefits. They provided me everything else thus far, but I don't have that. And I told them they cannot begin working until we have that documentation in hand. So that's where we stand on that. And they should be starting next week. And I'll be going out to the job site to verify that they are in fact incorporating local labor into this process. And they weren't just saying that for show.
Thank you. We appreciate that. The next part of the next agenda item on the agenda is the project labor audit review, just overall review. It's in your packet, kind of on one of the last few pages, pages 42, looks like. At this point, I mean, we have actually pretty good compliance with everybody. Legoland is low as usual. It's 55%. One of the things that, you know, we've talked about for a long time with Legoland is that this is something that will definitely change over time because our policy is, you know, through the scope of the job. So certainly there will be parts where their compliance is way down and then hopefully we'll go back up. I know they have a PLA, right, Mike?
Which one?
Legoland.
Yes.
So there's also, you know, they have PLA requirements as well as IDA requirements, as well as state requirements. So as a reminder, one of the other things that that will be a challenge with this compliance of this policy is, for instance, because of the state incentives that they have a 30% MWBE requirement that's very difficult to make up that 30% MWBE requirement from businesses in the Hudson Valley. There just aren't enough. There might not even be enough in New York, quite frankly, because it's a strange process. So we'll keep our eye on it as it moves on, but you know, they've certainly been, I know that Kevin, I watch emails go back and forth. Kevin checks in with them all the time for insurances, and they seem to have a good working relationship with Kevin because they've been very responsive, I guess, unless you would disagree with that, Kevin.
I would disagree with that.
Okay. All right then.
So, and I'll say that because I've requested, there's a number of documents, insurance documents that are expired that I have requested updates on more than once. I sent them a long email in December to give them a huge list of things that are now expired, to which I did not get any response except for one of the general contractors, Holt, who's now a very small potatoes in the project at this point. They assured me they would get me an updated certificate. They did not. I sent out another email last week that I believe I attached you on to let them know, hey, you still have not responded to my request here. Here's the list again. I've got nothing since then.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, my apologies. I thought that they had responded to you and I just wasn't copied on the response for some reason. So what we'll do, and Mike, maybe you and I can work together. I know you have some relationships over there. If we can get them to respond to Kevin very quickly. Last time you got involved, I know they got back to him right away.
Is Legoland or Holt that didn't provide the information? I'm sorry, Miss.
Well, Holt was the only one to respond, but I will say it's primarily LaChase has the large number of companies and subcontractors here that are missing the documents that I need that are expired, or I'm missing documents altogether. And you know, I personally feel like that their focus is now on getting the job done, and I'm kind of an afterthought in their process of doing so. And at least that's the responses that I'm seeing. When I perform my on-site visits and I meet with the representatives there, they've been more than helpful. But as far as getting updated documents, there's no urgency on their part on that one. So.
Okay, thank you. And Mike, quick question. In Holt, I know you know Holt Construction. Is Jay Holt no longer involved, correct? He's out of the company?
Correct.
Okay. And is the company like been purchased by someone else or any
Well,
Holt?
Jack is still
Oh, he is.
around, but not really.
Okay. All right.
And again, with Holt too, they were a big part initially in the project.
Right.
Their part is very slim at this point, but they still do have some subcontractors underneath them that have expired documents.
Okay. They came up in another project in the area, not related to us. And
Understood.
So Kevin, I spoke to you a little bit about that when we were talking about that waiver.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard back from you, but if you give the information to Lori, her and I'll make some phone calls and I'm sure we'll get that.
Sure. And what I'll do is I will forward you the email, Mike, that has the list. I'm going to have to update it because there's a number of documents that have expired since then that this list is building on. Now, a lot of times they've told me when it comes to a lapse of being able to provide documentation is that while their in-house guy, they have to wait until their in-house person can give them the paperwork first and foremost. But I mean, in order to turn over an accord form, it only takes about a day. We do insurance in our office. There's really no excuse for that. It's more of just them actually getting it to us. So yeah, Mike, I will send you the email of the updated list of everything that is expired.
Yep.
I'll work with you, Mike. Well, I'll certainly reach out to Legoland, to our contacts there to make sure that they put the pressure on some of their companies out on the field. And then between the two of us, I think we'll be able to get you something soon, Kev.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. So then the next one would just be if you want to give us a quick little recap. I know you went out to the Amy's Kitchen site. I believe that was with Michael Chang, right?
I was with Anant Singh, who's also in the kitchen. Yes.
All right. Chang is out in California. Gotcha. So, yeah, do you want to just talk to us about what that was, what they've done on the site so far, and if they talked at all about their timeline?
Sure. So my visit with Anant was on December 15th. During that visit, there was no actual construction or any type of labor on site related to the Amy's Kitchen project. There was being work performed on the Science of the Soul portion of that, which I know is a different package, I believe, altogether that's not included in this. So far on the project, and let me just pull up my notes here briefly. They were about 90% done with the site work on the job. They had completed the main roadway. The intersection had just recently opened when I got there to the project. And they also completed the bridge that goes over the Wallkill River. That portion is complete as they were supervising that with the DOT. They're expecting to begin construction in the second quarter of 2021. And the contractors they've had on site primarily doing the majority of this 90% about of the site work has been Boyce, which is a local company. Obviously, they're on a lot of other projects. We're working on just about everyone. Advanced Testing and DA Collins was the company that performed the bridge work. So per my conversation with Anant, they're expected to begin construction in the next quarter of this year and to move in their equipment on the second quarter of 2022.
So as a reminder to everybody, we don't have any say whatsoever, or not any say, any interest whatsoever in the Science of the Soul portion. There's a very strong delineation between that because it is a non-exempt, it's an exempt property. It's religious, not-for-profit property. So we have there's no pilot, there's no labor policy, there's nothing there. For the other side though, am I correct in what I heard, Kevin, that they completed the road work on 17M or K, whatever that is?
17M.
Yes, the intersection is now open. The traffic signals are now working there. And again, the bridge is complete that goes to their portion of the project. You enter the property for both Science of the Soul and Amy's Kitchen from that intersection. And then they divide as you go across the bridge to the Amy's site. One of the bigger things apparently that's been holding them up from construction too is them awaiting water from the town of Middletown, which has been like about a year and a half process apparently. Has been one of the big issues standing in their way, but yes, correct.
Okay, so I asked that question because I'm sure the board members will remember that we had approved a $500,000.
500 grand, which was stupid. How's that?
Well, but let me tell you that
Yeah.
that was on the agreement, the contract, first of all, is expired. It's long since expired. But second, the way that it's written is like every other agreement that we have in that nature, which is that in order to utilize those funds, you have to utilize them during the construction process and we pay directly to the vendors. It's not a reimbursement. So I know that we had met internally. Kevin, did you speak at all to the local attorney?
I did. I spoke to Larry Walensky. I told him that the agreements had expired. And he told me he was going to reach out to, I think the fellow's name was Chang.
Yep, Mike Chang.
Mike Chang, and he would get back, somebody would get back to us or me or whatever. And that was, I think, early December. And I've heard nothing from Larry or anybody else.
Good. Well, don't call him back, Kevin. How's that?
Well, I was, again, I don't think we should go chasing them down to get money.
Damn right.
No. I mean, it's done now. We wouldn't be able to, first of all, again, as it's expired, but also I don't know how we could possibly justify changing the terms of the agreement after, I mean, everybody knew. That was clear.
Right.
We all signed it. So.
Don't disagree. I don't at all disagree with that.
Right.
Does it come back to our budget then? Because we have it earmarked, right? So we could actually return it to the budget. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Good. And I don't think we give them a nickel until they start on the main project, not the Science of the Soul, because I said that's what they were going to do in the first place. And it's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
They haven't done one thing on the other side of the project.
Between returning this $500,000 and what's going to happen later, hopefully with the marijuana company, today could be $1.5 million a day.
That's good. I like it.
Budget. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that being said, we don't have any more agenda items. I think we have what we need for the 360 holdings and everything else. So does anybody have anything else to do, or we can adjourn? Any questions or anything?
Adjourn.
Okay. Oh, wait. Ed, did you want to talk at all about, Ed Janisevitz, did you want to talk at all about the, I felt like there was something you wanted, you can talk about that in the regular meeting that we're doing, the bill.com or something.
Oh, that's on the, that's just aside on the,
Okay.
doing online payments.
Okay. All right. Yeah. In that case, then we can adjourn and